At the heart of every Zelda game lies a deep need to be immersed in its world. So much so that the awe of inhabiting the living, breathing world of Hyrule echoes from every generation to have encountered it. As a catalyst for exploration, discovery, and wonder, the world tells as much of a story as, well, the story does. But given the longevity of the series and the number of games set there, has Zelda's world of Hyrule become too familiar? Part of my raising this question, admittedly, comes from Zelda's last two releases. Echoes of Wisdom, which shared an expanded map with a link to the past and a link between worlds, and Tears of the Kingdom, whose reuse of Breath of the Wild's Hyrule, no matter how dramatically changed, was a major criticism even before its release. The reuse of Hyrule in the pipeline from a link to the past to Echoes of Wisdom may be easier to swallow, as that series of games saw drastic changes in both graphics and protagonists, extended over a period of over 30 years. Meanwhile, Tears of the Kingdom was a first in the Zelda franchise in that it reused its immediate predecessor's map, which some enjoyed exploring to see what had changed, and which others felt had very little exploration left to offer. But the broader issue isn't just with maps that are reused, for not all Hyrules are created equal. Previous iterations of Hyrule, from Ocarina of Time to Twilight Princess and Breath of the Wild, all look drastically different, but retain key features, and with these features, assumptions generally proven true. Gorons live on Death Mountain, Zoras in Zora's Domain, the Gerudo in the desert, Hylians will be the majority in most of the other towns, and Tears of the Kingdom reaffirm that the Rito will in fact be found in Hebra. While it's fun to see how different iterations of Hyrule will depict its landmarks and races, there is also a diminished sense of mystery, a pigeonholing, if you will, when the same races and creatures are connected to the same landmarks. However, the franchise has been rather creative in how it deals with this over-reliance on Hyrule, by introducing new or evolved races, or reintroducing less common or different versions of races, by expanding Hyrule beyond its familiar bounds, by twisting the land into a dark world, a Ganondorf-ruled future, the Twilight Realm, Lorule, or the Still World, and in one of the series' best twists by inverting the Dark World and obscuring Hyrule under the Great Sea, to the point where some may argue that the main setting isn't even really Hyrule. Could you imagine if Tears of the Kingdom took place only in the sky and depths? What seems an obvious and effective way to create a more mysterious world is to simply make the setting wholly new, but this is not exactly tried and true. Labrynna and Holodrum from the Oracle games, New Hyrule from Spirit Tracks. These are all new worlds, but Link will still find Gorons in the mountains, Zora in the oceans, giant trees in the forest, ghosts in the graveyard, a castle, and Castle Town. Making these new lands more like Hyrule Simulacrum than functionally distinct worlds, even if equipped with their own creative gimmicks. Which leads me back to the original question, and to which I'll add an amendment. Are Hyrule and the similarly structured lands across the series becoming too familiar? Should Zelda move on from Hyrule? In the short term, yes. And the important reason, which some of you may not agree with, has to do with the two truly unique worlds I've yet to talk about. Thinking about Link's Awakening and Majora's Mask, because of the stories those games tell, there is no other place they could have been set other than Koholint Island and Termina. And it's because those games aren't in Hyrule that their stories work so well. Zelda should move on from Hyrule because a truly unique land offers an opportunity to tell a truly unique story, to introduce us to mischievous characters who inhabit a bizarre, unfamiliar world. Going forward, there's no reason that gameplay, whatever Nintendo comes up with, will only work in Hyrule. There's no reason a physics engine will only work in Hyrule. A new setting may be worth introducing a new subset of physics in, a magical element of physics even. I know there are cons to this approach, the biggest being the design of a completely new world and the filling of it with realistic characters. But I think it's what the series drastically needs right now. A chance to pluck Link, and for the first time Zelda, out of their usual territory. To experiment with a new setting, to add spice to the Zelda dish, to flavor the familiar once again with mystery, with wonder. While taking Link and Zelda out of Hyrule feels akin to taking King Arthur out of Camelot, the Fellowship out of the Westlands and east into Rune. Could you imagine the stories they'd bring back.